The time has come for an opening, an awakening into the consciousness of God. Now, consciousness of God can mean two things, or can be perceived from two perspectives. The consciousness of God, as in being conscious of God, having consciousness of God's existence, and God's consciousness, or the consciousness of God, the consciousness that God possesses. Now, both are interrelated, and both are, in fact, at play here. We bring you into the space first, as it must be so, of a consciousness of God. A sense, awareness of God's existence. Becoming conscious of God. How does one do that? Well, by being still and by quieting your mind, your senses, all outer activity to the point of sensitivity to God and God's presence. Take a few minutes here to really experience being conscious of God. Bring your own consciousness to God and allow yourself to become conscious now of God. Whatever you experience is perfect. Now, as you come back You might hear my cat meowing. That's just part of the environment, the existence right now out here. But whatever you experienced during that time of consciousness of God, you might have seen a vision. You might have felt a presence. You might have been aware of some aspect of God or some manner of perception about Him that maybe you hadn't experienced before. And it's important in this view to approach this in that way first, from one's own perspective, one's own consciousness of God, to be conscious of God as a being. Of course, that being, it is my belief, is both within us and outside of us. And one might then point to the theory of the holographic universe that we live in. What could be called a simulation, but really it's really a projection. All of reality is in fact a projection, and God is the truth of the authentic creative presence, being, aliveness, intelligence, sentience, consciousness. So whatever you experience was perfect, and now we're going to approach God's consciousness in a different way. And this is where we move into the consciousness of God, as in God's consciousness. And as we do that, we explore what it might be like to share, to dwell within, to partake of God's actual consciousness. Now, we all are existing as free, sovereign, individual beings within our own consciousness. Each individual's consciousness is different. It's dependent on a variety of factors, thoughts, emotions, genetics, many different aspects, level of soul evolution, focus, energy, attention, even health, and overall well-being. But our consciousness and God's consciousness, at the core, at the fundamental level, at the primordial level, may be one, because we come from the same source. In this reality of individuality and you could say, so-called illusory existence of the individual, but it's a game or a reality that we're living in. They appear to be separate, so we each have our own consciousness. So in order to bridge that gap, we want to now move from experiencing God, being conscious of God, to experiencing God's consciousness. So just take a few minutes to go ahead and do that now. Just explore and approach it in whatever way internally feels right to you. This is very unique and individual because much is dependent on that person's relationship with God, and will be done differently. But explore that as a possibility, and I'll give you a few minutes to do so. Now, as you come back, I want you to just take note and be conscious of your experience. This may be perhaps unlike anything you've experienced before. You may have had some insights or revelations, understandings about God, about reality, even about yourself or your own life through this experience. And I'd love that for you to take that with you and to really explore into that in a deeper, greater way and understand the differences between your consciousness and God's consciousness. And I believe on the spiritual path, it is our path to move into God consciousness and to share and partake with that reality, which is the one true reality. Amen.